Welcome to At the Nurses Station, a podcast for nurses about everything except the patients. You've got Kelly and Sam here, and we are just catching up for a second and then going to get into it. So, Kelly, you had the weekend off. I worked the weekend. Tell me what fun things you got to do.
So nothing, actually. My life has kind of been crazy this last week because I was really sick. So I had I ended up working on Friday, but I was sick all day Wednesday, Thursday. So then Saturday I just cleaned my house all day because when you're sick, then your house turns into a nightmare. So I spent 12 hours cleaning my house. And then Sunday I was exhausted. So I just laid around and watched movies with my littlest. And then I was back to work the last 2 days. So I feel like I haven't really done anything fun in a while. And Mother's Day is coming up.
Yeah.
Which I don't know about you, but I'm not a big fan of Mother's Day. It's exhausting to me because I feel well, because you have small kids and the things they want to do aren't actually what you want to do. I just want everyone to leave me alone for the day. That'd be great. So yeah, just planning Mother's Day.
Well, I mean, and for your mom, right?
Yeah. So my mom and my mother-in-law will come over and we'll barbecue, but that just means
more work for you.
Work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because as much as I tell my husband, I want you to do all the cooking and cleaning up and all that stuff, we know that's not all going to happen. So yeah.
I feel like I usually historically have worked Mother's Day. And so I kind of wiggle out of doing anything, but I'm not. They were overscheduled this Sunday, Monday, so I got taken off the schedule, which was good. I told them that I would be fine being taken off. So I don't. So I'll probably just pretend that I'm going to work, so that I still don't have to do anything.
Oh, I like that.
And
then surprise, you don't have to go in,
and then surprise, yeah. No, the boys. I feel like the boys are pretty good. They don't. I don't know. Maybe they just know that their mom is grumpy and doesn't like to be bothered. And so I get a flower when we go to church. That's always nice. They have pink carnations that they hand out for Mother's Day. And then I wonder if we have sometimes I feel like we have a little potluck, but I'm not really sure. But yeah, I'll probably just stay outside, maybe go on a hike or something. And yeah, I'm sure I'll be given a lot of candy that I don't want to eat, but I do want to eat. And that will be the problem.
Didn't you just tell me that you were mad at your husband for hiding the peach rings?
Yes, I know where they are. So
well, then you can't blame Philip. That is on you.
Well, I didn't eat a peach ring. I ate a Reese's egg instead. But I just I needed something. But yes, the sugar addiction is a real thing, and I'm just not interested in adding another thing to my life right now. So I'm presently going to stay addicted to sugar. And there's not anything that I could do about it.
I think it's okay. I think out of all the world, some peach rings in your life are exactly what you need.
I have to be careful because they hurt my teeth, which is probably a horrible indicator of my oral health. But that's also on the list.
When you eat the peach ring, it hurts?
Yeah. Something that's too sugary like that. The Reese's egg doesn't hurt, but the peach ring.
Maybe it's the chewy part.
The gummy worms hurt my teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, but yes, I did work the weekend. The candy drawer was empty all weekend long. Oh no, there were honey sticks.
Yeah, I saw that yesterday. They're still there. Who wants honey sticks? I don't know about our listeners, but most nursing units have a candy drawer or a candy stash. And it's always
most nursing units. What other nursing units have you worked on that have these?
Well, a bowl, right? Usually there's a candy bowl. Is it just us? Anyways, we have a candy drawer and we have one physician that is amazing and always fills it for us. But if he's not working, then it, is on the staff to intermittently fill that candy drawer.
Which he is never working.
It's so sad. Everyone will walk over there and just open it and it's ugh.
Yeah.
Bad day.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was nice. That wasn't a temptation. But otherwise, it wasn't. I don't even remember. Was it good? Was it bad? It's just rolling down a hill. I don't think it was terrible. I think that, you were there that day. I did sort of have like a low key passive aggressive fit about something. Uh, took me a couple of hours to get over that. And then I was told later that day that I'm a very direct communicator, which I thought was hilariously untrue.
Oh, really? I feel like that is 100% accurate.
Really?
Yeah, that's all you do is direct communication. You're like,
What?
yes, if you have a problem, you're going to say something.
No.
I don't.
If I have a problem, I'm going to stomp my foot and
Mm,
like be bratty about it.
maybe it's because you say something to me.
Yeah, that's probably more like it.
Hi.
But
I just looked behind me like that was my child.
yeah, I was like, why are you? That's my,
I was like, that doesn't look like.
no, no, that was one of mine that
So,
knew better.
yeah,
Yeah.
so Sam's door just opened in the camera and there was a child in it. And I have so many children. I literally looked and thought that that was my door and turned around and thought that was my child. It's not. My kids
I
aren't
mean,
even home. And
you can
it
have
did
him.
not like scare me or surprise me that there was a child standing there. Okay.
Oh, yeah. So no, anyway, that was that. Yeah, but otherwise, I think we had like one trauma that
Yeah.
was that was kind of interesting. You weren't, yeah. I mean, maybe someday we will talk about the curiosities of EMS and why
Mm.
one would intubate a human for fun, essentially.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. So sometimes we get EMS that just like is a little trigger happy on intubating instead of maybe just trying to fix the problem first.
Or just wait a second
Sure.
and because there is no problem. So anyway, that sweet child was extubated quite quickly after hitting the PICU. So that's good to hear.
Great.
Um, but that was like fun for a minute. Otherwise, no, it was just there's my little breakdown, sort of, that no one ever notices except for me. And then I heard of like through just what we were talking about at the nurses station, some other examples of like blatant unprofessionalism
Mm.
in the workplace. And I just I don't know, I thought we could maybe explore that a little bit today. I don't have a whole lot um like there wasn't a whole lot of other fun things. I mean, there was one shift that I worked that was all supplemental employees.
Yeah.
And so that was actually really fun.
Yeah.
And I don't know why our powers that be don't love us more because we're amazing. I would just like
Um,
you
yeah.
to know
Next time
that.
you like do your job. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do
And
it.
then the night after that was just really fun. So, like, really good nights with staff. But then just, yeah, some examples of unprofessionalism um, and like fit throwing at the nurses' like true, like being asked. Yeah, go ahead.
Are you talking about like child throwing themselves down, throwing a fit, that kind of behavior?
Yeah. So,
Like
like,
in an adult form?
it like an adult who is employed on our unit whose job it is to like help take care of other humans
Mhm.
when they like can't take care of themselves, which is like our job. Actually having what would you call that? Upsetty spaghetti arms, if you will. um, and sighing and yeah, just like just
Now, I don't think this behavior is ever justified, but like, did you know what was behind it? Was there any type of justification for being that upset?
so my understanding was it was a break thing
Mhm.
that they
Oh,
were instructed to take a break, but it wasn't the requested break time for that
so
employee.
no is the answer to that question.
Right. Well, yes is the answer to your question because you asked if I knew the context, but no, it was not
Not
justified.
justified. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I thought that was like how do we deal with those things? 'Cause so as an example, right, you were charged and I was upset that an
Oh,
employee
yeah, you were.
Yeah,
I was like, you know what, Samantha, I don't even like
I
time
I
to deal with
know.
this right now. So you just take what I said, whatever way you want, and figure it
Oh,
out.
I know. I was like, Kelly, ah. You were not going to play my game, which was annoying. So yeah, of course we all have assignments, right? And like when your name is written on an assignment, that is the assignment that you need to do. And if you don't do that assignment, someone else has to.
Mhm.
And that just, oh, kills me. Because you know what? Here's the reality. Nobody wants to be in triage. Nobody wants to be in triage.
Mhm.
And if my name is written on triage, then I will go do it either in the front or every kid that comes in, I room them and triage them, done and done.
Yeah.
If there's nobody, then fine, you could clean a room, get a juice, hold for a line, maybe, whatever, and then immediately go back to triage. That is not what was happening. So, yes, I was having a pity party for me because because when that person wasn't doing triage, that meant that I had to backfill triage, and it wasn't where my name was written on the stupid line.
I
So,
know. I know.
so I understand having a fit, and my method, instead of just going to that person and be like, "Hey, do you think you could triage since that's your assignment?" Um, I just don't talk to them or don't engage with them, or when they ask me things, I just am not polite back. As well, not unpolite.
So you're having spaghetti arms in your head.
In my head, thank you so much, and maybe on my face, but like definitely not like projected to the whole world. And I definitely don't stop doing my job. But yes, the case that I heard of was just actual, and then not proactively doing their job after that. So, what, I mean, what do you do as charge nurse? You just let that go? Is that
Oh,
something you like allow? Like, what do
that's a
you do?
loaded question. No, well, the whole break thing, excuse me, drives me crazy as a charge nurse because you have an entire unit to make sure they get their breaks. And we all know
Mm,
that there's some people that will purposely not take their breaks because they want to get the overtime. Um, and then that falls back on me from management. They're like,
mm,
people aren't taking their breaks. I'm like, well, we're all fucking adults. Like, if you need to
okay.
go eat. Like, figure it out. If you really don't need a break, then don't clock out no break. Like,
Mm,
you
yeah.
have the opportunity. That drives me up the wall. So I don't put up with the pity party. Like, if I say, hey, I need you to go take a break and there's a little pity party happening, I'm kind of like you, like, just okay, and turn around and keep doing my job. And I already told you what is expected of you. Um, but the tantrums, yeah, they're real, and you and I talk about this all the time. They're very generational specific, and I think we
Hmm.
know what generation that is. Because I've never had like a nurse in their late 30s, 40s, 50s like throw a tantrum. I don't
So do
think.
you think that it's the current generation that is that age group or just that generation? Like, do you think they'll still be throwing those fits when they're 30? Because I remember once I got floated when I was like a baby nurse.
Mhm.
It wasn't my turn and it was a holiday and we were having a potluck and I freaking made meatballs. And I was so mad and I started crying. And the hospital supervisor was like, well, you can either go to Telly or you can go home. And
Oh, I would have been like, I'm going home.
I was like, okay, I'll go do my job. And like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I was in my 20s at that time. So I guess that's what I'm asking. Like,
Yeah. I mean, that's a really good point. I have to think back on my 20s. Yeah, I think I was like just kind of petulant, right? Like,
mm, mm,
I feel like anyone in their 20s is a little entitled and behaves that
mm.
way. Like, you have not lived enough life and been you haven't been beaten down to the point where you realize you just have to do it no matter if
Yeah.
you want to or not. So that's probably true. I think maybe picking on the younger generation is just an easy target
Mm,
for me. But it is probably just the age thing of
mm,
I don't want to take my break, or I haven't had my break, like, ugh, I don't
hmm.
care. Like, can you just do what I'm asking you to do because you're getting paid? Like, that is my biggest thing. Like, I just sometimes I'm just like, you're getting paid right now, right? Like, let's just be clear. Like, you're at work. I'm not just asking you to go do chores. Like, you're not my child and I'm asking you to go rake the yard. Like, you are being paid by your employee. Can you just do your freaking job?
Yeah, I guess I wonder what the tolerance level should be. Cause like I definitely, let's see, I'll just like air all my dirty laundry. I guess I do remember like being in triage once too when I was much, much younger, just being so freaking pissed about being in triage again and that the rooms weren't getting turned over as fast as I wanted them to be. And so I was just like bringing patients back. Like
Mm.
the people were discharged and I would just start walking slowly and everyone's like, the room's not clean. I'm like, well, then freaking clean it.
Yeah.
But I like in those instances, like I was definitely in the wrong. Like I was kind of like throwing a fit and pushing the issue. But I guess I wonder like what I feel like we tolerate a lot in our department. That's I guess what I'm getting at for the generation aspect of it. Like those behaviors, like I would start to act that way and was like instantly corrected by the house soup that was like, well, you can go upstairs or you can go home. Like either way, like you are doing what you're told to do. And even in the ER, if I had an attitude about being in triage, like if I was, then I got put in triage my next shift and
Mm.
my next shift and
Yeah.
my next, like, yeah, I got all of the fun taken out of my job until I could get it together. And I don't feel like we, maybe just in our department, have any mechanisms to correct behavior.
Yeah. I mean, I think, and I think that changes shift to shift based on who is in charge.
Mhm.
Because I think some people that are tantrum throwers, they're not going to do that with certain people in charge because they just know that that behavior isn't going to fly.
Oh, interesting.
Um, so I mean, there's a lot of shifts where I'm not in charge and I am so judgy. I'm throwing my own tantrum in my head because I am seeing things that should not be happening, but I'm not in charge, so I don't want to like overstep my
Mm,
boundaries, right?
mm.
That makes me throw a little bit of the spaghetti arms. What are they called?
Spaghetti arms. Upsetty spaghetti.
Spaghetti
That
in
was
my
given to
head.
me by someone, and she'll know when she hears
Oh,
it,
I love
but I
it.
love it.
Anyways, so that will send me into like a little tantrum, but then I have to just be like, okay, my own advice, right? Just
Mm,
your job. The rest of the world will function, even if it's not the way I think it should be happening. Um, but when I'm in charge, if I see people sitting around not doing their job, I just stand up and walk to them and say, I need you to do this. I need you to do this. And then it becomes very babysitting,
oh,
um,
yeah.
which is frustrating. I had a shift like that the other day where I was just working with these people who are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And I felt like I was babysitting the entire shift. Um,
That was a rough shift.
oh, yeah. So I don't know, back to professionalism, I guess it's like one, there should be like, you should know what you're supposed to be doing in your job and you should
Mhm,
be doing it
mm,
without being told.
mhm,
And two, you shouldn't complain about it continuously. Like we're all going to complain, but I feel like there's a difference between like venting and whining.
hmm. Yeah, that's true. I think I definitely yes, and to some extent, I don't know how, like, healthy venting is for all, like, personality types. I
Mm.
think for me, it's probably not the best because I get riled up and, like, just angry easily. But I know that some people, like you, like, get it off your chest, like, "Okay, now that someone else knows that this is happening in the world, I feel better about it."
Yeah.
Yeah, um, but like you're saying, like, we're getting paid to do a job. At a certain point, it literally just is the job. And that's just what you have to do. I just, um, I was gonna, the professionalism is what we were talking about, but it did make me think when you were saying, like, when I'm not charged, I don't overstep. I'm almost never charged, right? But I was thinking the other day about like how to set an example. Like we have charge and not charge in our department, but there should really be like leadership, just like,
Yeah.
how do you say, just built into our social structure, just like leadership. And I feel like that has been eroded with this like hell-bent eradication of nurses eating their young, like that idea.
Yeah, for sure. Like we both grew up through nursing, like
Yeah.
with that hierarchy,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And it was like you knew who the old time nurses were, and you did whatever they said, whether they're in charge or not.
Hmm.
I agree. I feel like that is missing.
And not just what they said, but I remember like looking to them and like wanting to, when they got like a critical patient or when they had like something fun to do or when I had something difficult to do, like really using them as a resource
Mhm.
and not just like ask questions when you don't know, but really like trying to model what kind of nurse I was like after them. Like
Yeah.
how do they act when they get like 2 level 2s or a whole section full of like heavy patients? Are they frantic? Do they just take it one thing at a time? Do they ask for help? Do like how do they manage those situations? And I think to some extent we have this very much like everyone is equal mentality. And
Yeah.
that's not true. It's just not true. It's just not
Totally.
like
I actually just had a student with me. Well, she's a nurse tech. So in our unit, as you know,
mm,
we have these
mhm.
nurse techs that are like
I
long
have no
time
idea.
students. I don't know how to explain it. They're there for like several months and they can do certain things independently, but they're still in school. Anyway, she's brand new to our unit. And my first thought, I'm sorry to say, was like, ugh, I don't want to train another one,
Mhm,
because it's a lot. But this girl, like, she was amazing. She literally just followed me around. And then she would like ask me questions. She's like, how did you know how to do that? Or, oh my gosh, that was like exactly what they teach us to do in nursing school. Like, because I was suctioning a trach and I was like, they're going to want a sputum culture. So I went and like got a trap just to get it while I was suctioning the trach before I had an order and set it on the counter. And she's like, oh yeah, like, so you really thought ahead. And I'm like, yeah, like, but to her, it was like, oh, this is like amazing. And she literally was like, I'm just going to absorb all of your knowledge.
aw.
Yes, like that's how you're supposed to come into this, right? Like, and you should be doing that. Like, I still am like that with some of the older nurses,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
People that have done this longer than me, where I'm just like, tell me your secrets. Like,
Oh, yeah.
we should constantly be like looking to improve our practice.
Mhm,
And I don't know that we have a culture of that, like in nursing as general. I feel like you said, we get these nurses in, and not everybody, but we get like a handful of people in and they like literally say, well, like, I'm an RN just like you and we are same level. And it's like, no, no, we're not. And
mhm.
that's where I think that like unprofessionalism comes, because you have not been here long enough to be goofing around.
Well, or be lax, like,
Oh, throw a tantrum.
I think you were sitting there at the desk, you were probably charged when an IV was missed on a little twice by one of our newer hires, and so she asked me to go do it, which is totally great. Like, obviously, absolutely
Yeah.
happy to go do it, and I think I said, "So I'm gonna go do this, and then I'm gonna go in there and do that line. Did you wanna come with me?" "Oh,
Yeah.
no, I have to give Tylenol." "Hmm, okay." Which is why I don't feel like I'm a direct communicator, because what I actually just said was, "I'm gonna go in and do something that you actually can't do, evidenced by the fact that you tried and you failed.
Right.
So, there's, of course, a chance that I will also try and fail, but you might freaking learn something. So get up and come in with me and learn how I'm about to do it."
Yeah.
Like, you didn't miss because of the line, because they have fragile veins or because they blow or because they were wiggling or whatever. You missed because you're not as good as I am.
Mhm.
And you should come and like learn. Or maybe I find a good vein and I'm like, actually, why don't you do it? And I'll walk you through it.
Yeah.
Because I think this is like this is a pretty simple, not simple, easy, but like if it's not a hard vein, then you have an opportunity. So I don't know. I think there's that like baseline professionalism that we're missing a lot of times.
Mhm.
The other story that I shared with you about a lack of professionalism was just another nurse just aggressively coming at a nurse over a really horrible, sad, critical situation that we had, but just emotions not being under control.
Mm.
And those emotions seem to continue to not be under control in various ways in that area of the hospital. And I think that there's the professionalism between that comes from when we don't like the situation. When I like look at my other nurses and I'm like, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're not doing this. Like, you're not. The catalyst of it is really how we're all doing our jobs. I think the other catalyst of what we feel in our job is, of course, the patients that we deal with and how that affects our professionalism towards patients and to each other, really. And I think that's the other side of it that we have to learn. Like, you can't be snapping at people. You can't, like, it doesn't matter how mean someone says something to you, especially a patient, like, you don't get to take that out on other people. It sucks
Yeah.
because we become punching bags. But in this case, some belongings were returned, and it was just a really hard event, and the nurses that were dealing with some of it just lost their cool on another nurse, and that just aggressive unprofessionalism, I think, is should really just be removed from the hospital. Like, if that's your behavior, then it's time for you to either go home voluntarily or be escorted out.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that we live in a high stress, or we work in a high stress environment. I also live in a high stress environment, but um and so emotions can run like really high,
Mm,
and you have to be self-aware of when you're reaching that tipping point of like, I can't handle this.
mhm.
I need to step away, not like stay and continually like beat up everybody around you
Yeah.
verbally or otherwise. I mean, hopefully not physically, right? But I mean, I've gotten to that point, right, where I'm just
Yeah.
like, I am done.
Mhm.
I had one time, I had this check-in and I was like emotionally like distraught because what I was being told and what my reality was were not matching. And when I get like angry, I just start crying, and then I can't stop crying. And I could not pull myself together. And I knew like I can't do this. Like today
Mhm.
is not my day. And I literally like went to the charger and I'm like, I'm going home. And I've done that once
Mm.
ever. Like that is the first time and last time I've ever done that. And luckily, that charge nurse and I like have a good relationship, and she's like, yeah, you're good. Go.
Mm.
But like I feel like we have to have that self-awareness of like, I'm not going to be professional if I remain here at this
Yeah.
moment. It is time to step away.
And I agree that we have to. I can't think of a. I mean, there's not really a situation because I'm not actually an aggressive person. I live in passive aggression. It is a skill and like it
And you
is.
have honed it.
That's right. I can level up. Like, it is. It's what I'm good at. It's probably my biggest talent, quite honestly. Um, well, actually, I was talking to Philip about it. He's like, "That's why I don't argue with you. That's why I don't like arguing with you because you do. You go from passive aggressive to aggressive, and then you're just mean." And I'm like, "Oh, that's probably accurate." So I try not to be mean at work, but I get so I hear what you're saying. Like, you have to be aware of the situation and you have to know when to remove yourself. And I think that that's right. I don't think that I've ever really had a situation where I've been so over whatever line that I need to just like exit my job entirely. Like, I'm sure I can't think of a specific reason, but I'm sure that especially in inpatient land, there were times where I was like, I can't take care of this patient. Like, please change my assignment. Like, this is my
Mm.
shift with them. And I find them so frustrating or mean or something like that. Like I can't provide the care that they deserve,
Yeah.
which I think is reasonable on occasion. But then I also wonder, to what extent is it just expected of our job? Like you just have to be able to manage it, because you can't ask to leave, all, like just part of it is part of the job, you
Yeah.
know.
No, and totally, and that's why I was saying, like, that has happened to me once in 20
Yeah.
years. If that happens frequently, which I think, there are some people that, just can't handle it,
Yeah.
then you maybe need to look for another job.
Mhm.
I feel like that's, like, the harsh reality, and back to, like, what the old nurses would have said to us.
Mhm.
I don't think that there was a fear of those nurses going to a younger nurse and being like, "This isn't for you. You need to find someplace else.
Oh, yeah.
You need to get it together."
Mhm.
And then it was time for you as a human and as a professional to like be like, "Oh shit, you're right. This is my responsibility. This is my job. I need to figure it out." Instead of like being coddled for years
Mhm.
and then having us be passive aggressive to the point where they're like, "Nobody likes me." And it's like, "No, it's not you. It's the fact that you're not doing your freaking job."
Yeah, it's
Like,
your inability to read.
sorry, I was about to get on my horse there.
Sorry, go. You can.
But like that is my biggest thing is like people are like, "Well, I didn't think you liked me when I started here." I was like, "I didn't because I didn't know you." Like I don't go into like every like interaction with I'm going to automatically like you and then I'm going to get to know you. I don't know, that's just me.
But
I'm going to go into it as like you're a nurse, I'm a nurse. I don't know you. So you have to prove to me that you know what you're doing, that I can trust you, that I want to work with you. And then we can let a, you know, friendly relationship grow if, you know, so be
if
it.
it works out that way.
It works out, right? But like I feel like that's like the expectation now is that like we like everybody. We all get along. Like we're all friends. And that allows like those nurses that, maybe haven't stepped it up to just kind of float through at this like lower level because nobody wants to be mean. But it's not mean. It's just saying like do your job, be a professional.
Well, also, the less good you are at your job, the more of your job I have to do.
Mhm.
So it's not even, I mean, it's really not even like a, do I like your person? I mean, just from my own perspective, like if you can't hit your lines, then one of us has to, add on to our plate part of your job, which is, I'm not saying not appropriate all of the time, because like we all miss lines and have to go
Yeah.
ask for help. But when it's all the time, it's like, so that's another thing that I have to add to my plate. And I will say, okay, so definitely I am of the opinion at work. And I don't even want to say, because you're talking about the nurse tech, because I had like the exact opposite experience with one in the somewhat recent past, where they wanted to start a line and we go in and it took until like 5 seconds to the poke where I was finally like, no, no, like you don't have any idea what you're doing, like at all.
Mhm.
But your only focus was getting to start an IV, because that's like, you know, the coolest thing for any nursing student to do is always like get to
Sure.
start these. And we start a lot of them and that's great and that's fun. But like clearly the motivation was wrong, and that's like never appropriate and the opposite of professionalism. What you were describing is totally professional. That's so lovely to see and to hear
Yeah.
about one of them acting like that, because then I even see it with our new hires or people that come to us that don't have any peds or ER experience. Like, I'm not asking you to be like the 30-year-old trauma nurse or like 30 years of experience trauma nurse from the adult side that like can do all of this
Yeah.
with her eyes closed. I'm just asking that you like be professional, help where you can, take your job seriously. When you don't get what you want, then you're okay with it and you don't make everyone else's day bad, and that you have a focus on doing what is within your power to do well.
Right.
And that's like, so you don't get to do all the fun things. Yeah, tough luck. Most ERs don't. That's what I was shocked by our department when I first started there. Is like, wait, who are we sending where? They have
Right.
to get experience. No, yeah, they have to get experience in the pit, and then you can let them into trauma like in
Yeah.
18 months,
Yeah.
not their second shift.
Right.
But like you're saying, then people are like, well, I don't think that they like me. Well, it's not about that. And you're
Right.
right. You don't like running.
Exactly. It is not about that. Like, we're at work.
Yes.
And like, I feel like some people listening to this are going to be like, oh, yeah, they're totally like the bitchy bully nurses, which I don't think we are.
Oh, you're not. I don't know.
But I am so sick of like this mentality that we all have to be nice all the time. Like, we are taking care of people's lives. And if my child is there or any of my family members, guess what? I want that bitchy nurse in there that is going to be like, no, you're doing it wrong. Move. That's who I want. Right. And so I don't know. I'm just like, the feelings, the feelers, I'm just over it. Like,
I think there's something to be said about not working in an environment that is like emotionally stressful from your coworkers, right? Like you don't want to be harassed, or you don't want to be what's the term that I'm looking for from like sororities and fraternities? Hazed. Yeah. Like you don't want to be hazed for sure. Like that will make our job more difficult and will cause like more stress. But there's a level of, I mean, just absolute professionalism that I expect. I think the other thing about our job that maybe goes kind of miss, and I'm sure is in lots of other like fast food or industries as well, is like we literally have no say in who works with us. Like 0%. Like people just show up and are the new whatever. And you're like, okay. And so to really understand, the only thing we have in common is the job that we do. And the personalities often overlap because of our job, but they come after. So we need to take our one common ground and like agree on that. Because there are, I'm thinking of a couple of nurses that I know that kind of like go both ways. Like I actually don't think that they're they're not like the greatest nurses. Um, and even to some extent, like if I met them on the street, I don't think, or in any other capacity, like we have very different worldviews, we come from very different places, we spend our time doing different things. But I really love their hearts and getting to know them, and like I so appreciate the other things that they are good at that I am not good at. And so you can have those relationships, but those take a lot more time. And
yeah,
if, yeah, you're mad that the first 6 months of your life in an ER, you don't have like a bunch of best friends, bummer,
yeah.
like bummer.
Yeah.
It's not the
Well,
place.
and I feel like, when I was saying about like people's feelings get hurt and stuff like that, like if your feelings are hurt, like if you feel like people are being mean to you, maybe instead of complaining about it, like think about how you can improve your like your job
Yes.
performance first, rather than how do I fix these relationships, because
Mhm.
we're not there to be friends. Like, yes, I have wonderful work friends. I love going in with, my
Yeah.
best, right? But number one, again, you're getting paid to do a job. So if your focus from day one is, I'm going to go in, I'm going to work my ass off. If I don't understand something, I'm going to ask questions. If I have a more senior nurse or someone that I look up to that's going in and doing something and I'm not doing anything, I'm going to say, hey, can I tag along and just watch you? Like, that's how you're going to make friends at work, is like by
Mhm.
having like a killer work ethic, being professional, wanting to improve yourself as a nurse, then like those relationships will come along. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think I'm sure we'll talk about them often because they raised me really as like a nurse aside from my mom, but like the mafia is what they went by because they all worked the same weekend. And there was no love loss about the little white girl that came from float pool whose mom was like a big shot and inpatient. They loved my mom and that was fine, but they were like, we owe nothing to you.
Mhm.
And you will prove yourself first. And that's exactly what, and they, to this day, I think 3 of like the 5 of them became nurse practitioners. Fearless, amazing, super smart women that I am just like so thankful to have gotten to work with, but they didn't care what I wanted in life. They were like, no, you're going to do chest pain and abdominal pain until we know that you're not going to kill somebody. And then when we get the stabbings and the gunshots and the strokes and the PEs and whatever, you're going to stand outside of the trauma bay and hand us things.
Mhm.
And you're going to take care of all of our, because we didn't have like float nurses or anything.
Yeah.
Like, and you're going to take care of our sections while we're doing, and it's not like of course, they didn't necessarily say these things, but those were the behaviors that I had to earn their trust. And then we became very good friends. And they trusted me to help with their patients. And I didn't like cry around about how they didn't like, and we were never best friends. It's not like I ever did anything with them like outside of work.
Yeah.
But coming to work, I don't know. It's just like I feel like that's how it should be done. And then I don't know.
That's how you build a team, right?
Yes.
And I think like we were talking about before, like the hierarchy, like there's a hierarchy in that team. Like
Mhm.
when, you know, when you and I and like all of, when we have like the dream team, right?
Mhm.
That comes in, there's still a hierarchy
Oh
because
yeah.
there comes a point where somebody has to make the decision. It's not like we're all going to sit down and chat about everything. But I feel like that's like what makes it like the dream team, right? Is because everybody there understands what everybody else is doing. We can trust each other.
Yes.
We have each other's back. And when shit hits the fan, like there's a leader.
Yeah.
And that's how it should be.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And a lot of that is having a professional demeanor in the not stressful times. Like you have to learn to be professional when your feelings are hurt, when you don't get what you want, when, oh my gosh, right? When like you requested standby and didn't get it and come in to find that they like LC'd like 3 people during the day shift and you just want to put your pen through somebody's throat. Like, oh, and you're just like, okay, but I still have a job to do and I can't like throwing a fit is not it for one, it's not going to change my situation. And
Right.
2, it's not going to endear me to anyone so that like maybe I can get standby like next time. Like actually having a good attitude about it might get you what you want in the other time. I do want to go back to what you were saying about relationships though. I am hard pressed to think of a nurse, and I mean we talk about lots of nurses all of the time and people that we work with, that is good at their job that over time I did not have a lovely relationship with.
Mm.
Like, despite maybe differences in personalities or like when I can trust them and they're good at their job and they trust me to be good at my job, those I feel like those relationships just form. And it's actually kind of a beautiful thing. I feel like I was saying, some of the nurses that I can think of that are just totally different from me. It's like, no, we have nursing in common. And we're able to have a really great relationship because of that. I feel like that's so lovely.
Yeah. And you get to like understand them on a different level
Mhm.
because you have that foundation of working together,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
once we can work together, then you have like this awesome foundation and then you get to know each other.
Right. And then maybe they're not, and I'm not saying you have to be like the best of the best, but just taking your job seriously and being an adult and not cursing at people and not exploding or flying off the handle, like just taking your stuff in stride and being a reasonable human, just, I don't know, it makes such a difference. So
Yeah.
I think I don't know who they is, but like nursing is not a career or a vocation. It's a profession, which I don't know, is more dramatic than I really like care for it to be. Like I just blah, whatever. But like professionalism, and I just like I hear that and like professionalism in nursing, I'm like, that means that you want me to wear a suit and show up during the daytime and not have a sweater that has a hood on it or whatever that like stupid crap is. I'm like, that's not what it is. It's actually how we respect each other, and how we behave on the unit. Like we all do a really hard job, and throwing a fit because you don't freaking get your break when you want it is so petty in the grand scheme of what we are doing that it's
Right.
just nauseating to me. Yeah.
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 For sure.
It's just that. So, okay. Well, I don't know that anything else really. Okay. I do have one thing. And you're gonna think that I'm a total dweeb, but one thing that I like to try and think of, keep in my mind, when we're having like a crazy day or a bad day or whatever. There's like, do you listen to AJR? My boys love that band.
No.
I don't know. They're kind of
no
like
idea what that
poppy,
is.
techno-y. I think they like got their fame because they made like some SpongeBob song like 20 years ago.
Great.
Yep. But they have a line in one of their songs that's 100 bad days makes 100 good stories, and 100 good stories makes me interesting at parties.
Oh, I like that.
I know, right? It's also an example of anadiplosis, which is why it like sounds so good to the ear. But
I have no idea what that word means, Sam.
it's like
Anadiplosis?
anadiplosis. It's like a rhetorical term when the last, what is it? The last word, like it's either like the last word of a sentence is the first word of the next sentence, or the last sentence of a paragraph is the first sentence of the next paragraph, like however you want to do it. But it's that like repetition that really like draws your ear and your attention. But in nursing, I actually think this should just be the theme of ERs everywhere. 100 bad days makes 100 good stories, and 100 good stories makes me interesting at parties, which is why people love nurses.
And ER nurses specifically, right? Because
Oh yeah.
so right, because our worst shift is like the thing that we're going to talk about. Like, of course, we never break HIPAA, right? But
No.
but like when we're but when we're like come in the next day, it's like, oh my God, yesterday was horrible. And everybody's like, what happened?
I'm not even when you come in the next day, when you go have dinner with like your friends.
I'm like, oh, you wouldn't believe it. And then it's like you have this great story and you remember it. And I can't remember where I heard this, but this has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But it was like, I never want to get to the end of my life and have no scars. And I think about that a lot, of like when you're just like in a rough season, like whether it be work or life or anything like that. It's like, okay, I'm just like, I'm building scars. I'm building memories. I am, I'm going to have some great stories.
I like yours less than I like mine.
Well, Sam, not
I
everybody
don't want scars.
You don't want scars? You don't want battle scars? Like,
I also don't, what do they call stretch marks? Like mom tiger stripes or something? I also hate that. I'm like, don't try.
No, they're stretch marks.
They're just because I'm fat. Like it's not, there's nothing exciting about this. It's, no. We know that that's the peach rings. That's the problem. That's what
You're not fat.
Oh my gosh. You're right.
Okay, so should we try our new thing?
Okay,
so I had this idea that where I told Sam, like, for people to kind of get to know us and our personality. Because if you haven't been able to tell, we are actually very different. That I thought it'd be fun if we did like 5 rapid fire questions.
Okay. I have some I've found, so you can start.
Okay, so I'm going to go first, and then you're going to ask me a question.
Okay.
Okay, so these are really random. Is a hot dog considered a sandwich?
Oh, no, because it's connected on the other side. This is easy.
What if you unconnect it?
How would you do that? The hot dog's going to fall out.
Well, okay, then is a like Philly cheesesteak a sandwich? Because
I'm sorry, are you asking me a question or are you wanting to argue with me about this?
Okay, go.
Oh, I have to go next?
Yeah.
Okay, what was your last impulse buy?
Last night, I got home from work and I stayed up till 2 a.m. because I couldn't sleep. And I bought a Bridgerton dress for a baby shower.
An actual Bridgerton dress?
Yeah. So one of our coworkers is
Yeah,
having a baby shower that's Bridgerton themed. And so I went down the rabbit hole and I bought a Bridgerton dress.
But I think it just means floral and pretty.
Well, mine is has a train.
Has a train? Oh, I cannot wait. I am thrilled. Did you get a hat too?
No, but I did get a flower, hair piece thing to pin in, and I got long white gloves.
Oh my Lanta.
Doing great. Okay. Have you ever seen a ghost?
Oh, I don't think so. Sometimes I dream about my mom, and I thought that I saw the Easter Bunny when I was little, but I think that I just had pink eye and my eyes were stuck shut, and it was just a whole weird ordeal. But for many years, I was very convinced that I saw the Easter Bunny.
That's awesome. Maybe
yeah. Okay, what was your favorite work outing?
Work outing?
Yeah.
Like when we went out? Oh,
it doesn't have to be with us.
No, but it is with you guys because.
Do you remember when you went out with us?
This time I do. Okay. I'm not thinking of the other one. There was a time that we went out, and we are not going to talk about that because. Okay. Anyway, but we went out and we ended up at a gay bar, and Sam watching go-go dancers at a gay bar was the highlight of my entire life.
That was. Yeah, and then Phil Kim picked me up with all of our children.
Yeah. So great.
It's time. Okay, do you want to do one more?
Let's do one more. Okay. What is the weirdest thing you wanted to be when you were a kid? I'm not weird. You didn't want to be a superhero or no.
I wanted to be a neurosurgeon, and then that quickly got downgraded to a nurse, so here I am.
Neurosurgeon is weird. Let's be honest.
Well, I mean, you gotta be, which is why I didn't end up as one. Yeah. No. Okay. Oh shoot. What celebrity annoys you the most?
Ooh, that's a good one. Can it be a politician?
Sure.
They're celebrities.
Yeah.
Donald Trump.
Okay. You know what? That's fine. As long as we buy Canada, he can be annoying.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So now everybody knows where Sam and I stand. And you know what? What I want to say is it is possible to be complete opposites politically and still be great friends. So,
which is such a good example of the nurses station.
Yes. We can think completely differently. We can still be friends.
And it doesn't matter because I know that you're going to have the right dose of epi.
Yes, I will.
Yep. For me. That's to be, well, you will. Yeah. I might not.
Well, this was fun, Sam.
Yeah. Okay. Well, until next time, this was at the nurses station. We'll see you guys then. Bye.
Bye.